Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us on today's webinar. We'll just wait a couple more minutes for some more people to join. Good morning. We'll just give it another minute or so, as I can still see there are people joining us. Okay, we're going to make a start. So thank you for joining us on today's webinar. Today we're going to be looking at importing and new admissions, and we're going to look at the leavers process at the end. So we're going to take you through the new student intake for this year, pre-admission tokens for users of Group Call Exporter, the pre-admission template completion, where the pre-admission token is not available, and I'll explain more about that later, the new student import where there's no automated synchronisation in place, and how to increment students where there is no synchronisation, how the pre-admission students are displayed in WisePay, the issuing of usernames and passwords to parents, food and drink top-ups for the pre-admission students, and lastly, we'll look at the leavers process. There is a question bar on your screen. If you have any questions as we go through this, please type the questions in. If we don't get to them on the actual webinar time, we'll come back to you today with an answer. Okay. So it is possible to set up your new student accounts prior to them becoming active and on-roll in the schools in WisePay. This enables you to issue usernames and passwords to the parents so that they can start to pay for food and drink and any uniform or books that they need to purchase before September. There are two ways to get your account set up in WisePay with the synchronization. We have, if you use the Group Call Exporter tool and your school is using the SIMS MIS database or Progresso MIS database, we can set a pre-admission token in that system for you. What that will do is it will bring across any accepted students prior to them becoming active and on roll, and it will place them into the WisePay system for your school, and it'll show them as a pre-admission student. I'll just show you on this test site that we have here. When the pre-admission students come through, they will show as a year group for this year of 2022-23, and it'll show them in their pre-admission group here. Depending on how they've been set up in your MIS database, it will pick up the year group that they should be coming into. You'll be able to easily identify them because they'll always show the year group of whatever year this is and the next following year that's coming in. If you're using an MIS database that isn't SIMS or Progresso, but you do use the Group Call Exporter tool, unfortunately the pre-admission token is not available for them. So we would ask you, if you wanted to set up your new pre-pools before September, we would ask you to complete a pre-admission template, and I'll go through that in a moment. For the schools that use WAND, it doesn't matter which MIS database you're using, you would always need to use the pre-admission template, as the pre-admission token isn't available with WAND at the moment. So again, we'll ask you to fill in a template and send it back to us, and we get it processed for you. By processing the template, once again, it will do the same as this. It will show the children in the year group 2022-23. And depending on what you've completed on your pre-admission template, it will show whichever class they're going to go into. So either 7, 8, 9 or 10, or with 11 and 12. So for the schools that will need the pre-admission template, this is what the pre-admission template will look like. Will come up, right. So your pre-admission template is just that. This is all it is. You just put your name of your school at the top, and then you would just complete the columns as you go through. This column here is mandatory, and we need to have this information because when the synchronization tool picks up your active and enrolled students, it will sweep across the MIS IDs. So this column must be filled in, because if we get the wrong information or this column isn't completed, when your students go active and on roll and the group call exporter or the WAND tool sweeps across all your pupils, it won't find these numbers, so it'll set up another account, and that's where you end up with duplicated accounts. So this column is always important and must be filled in all the time. You can then fill in all the other bits, the UPN, if you have it, you can fill that in there, and the admission number. Then you've got the student's first name, student's last name, the school year. Always leave that as blank. The class that you're going to put them into, their gender, and this is all the contact details in here. What we do normally ask for is with the pre-admission template is that you fill it in with as much information as you can, particularly the emails, because the emails will only pull through on the initial setup of the child's profile in WisePay. If you don't have this information and you've completed subsequently, this information will not pull through. So we would have to do an email sweep for you, which we can do, but you'd need to request it through support. So once you've completed all of the columns in here as much as you can, we would ask you to then go into your dashboard like this and upload it to the secure area in the dashboard. Once it's been uploaded to the secure area, you would need to let support know so that we can alert the technical team to process it for you, because we don't actually have access to this area. So once the technical team are told, they'll process the template for you, and then they'll let us know when it's done, and we can then come back and tell you. We do advertise that we do get the templates completed and uploaded within 5 working days. Sometimes it's quicker than that. So once, as I say, once they have uploaded the template, you will see your new admissions, and they will show in Manage Account Profiles under this year. So you can see it from there. So that's covering the schools that don't have the pre-admission token. So unless you're on SIMS and Progresso with Group Call Exporter, if you're with WAND or with any other MIS database with Group Call, you would need to fill in a pre-admission template and send it in to us. The cost for processing the template is £150 plus VAT, and the cost for having a pre-admission token is £95 plus VAT per annum. So it's a rolling cost that comes on every September. For schools that don't have any synchronization at all, we would ask you to complete an import template. It looks exactly the same as the pre-admissions template, but it just gives us a better idea of what year and classes they're going to go into. So when the technical team actually process an import template, instead of the students going into year group 2022-23, they will be put into their year and class groups that they're going to be going into in September straight away. So that in that case, because what will happen with the people that have been put on with a pre-admission template, when they become active and on roll in the MIS databases, which is usually a pre-arranged date at the end of August, beginning of September, the synchronization tool will sweep across all the students and will pick up all the students that are already in WisePay and just change the year group into the proper year group and class that they're going to be designated in. For the people that don't have any automated synchronization, you will also need to complete an incrementing template as well, because that will then just move all your children up to their new year groups. Again, we can get that sent out to you, and once it's completed, if you put that back onto the secure area on your dashboard, we can get that updated for you as well. A lot of schools don't like to do this until the end of August, but it depends on when you want to get it done. So when the children have been set up onto the system, onto the WisePay system, either as a pre-admission or as an import, you can then create username and passwords for your parents so that they can actually log in and make payments. This can be done via the Communications Hub, and by the username and password tab in the right-hand side. This will give you a little bit of information on it, but what you can do is you can select the year group that you want to find. So I've gone for the 2022-23 because they're the people I want to advise. And you can have tutor groups or distribution lists, but we just normally, for the pre-admissions, you just normally stick to the year group. And if you click next, you can see that you can either download the usernames and password letters onto a Word, or you can export it to Excel. If you export it to Excel, you can then do a mail merge to your parents, providing you've got most of the emails addresses that you will need. So if we click onto the download the letters, we can download the Word file. And you'll see that the people that I've just done, you'll see that they've got a username there, which is always the last name, and then you get this very long password here. So the first time the parents can log in, they put that password in, they'll be asked to change their password, and as soon as they change their password, they'll be asked to put in an email address, and that email address will then become their username. And we usually make sure that they try and keep it all lowercase, then they don't have to remember to put capitals in. So you can actually download all these letters. And you'll see as soon as you start to download it, you'll get the WisePay logo at the top. And it gives the parents a little bit more information on how to use WisePay for the first time. And you see that you can just print them all off and then you can hand them out. A lot of schools have a taster day, so they might be just handing them out to their New Year 7s or New Year 1s, whichever type of school you are, and they can just give them that, and then the parents can log in and do whatever they need to do. If you're an importing school that hasn't got any synchronization, so that you have to fill in an import statement. Just move this. Oh, sorry. In order to find all your new students, because when they're actually processing the import template, they will be put into their correct year groups. What you could do is you could create a distribution list of all your new students. So again, you can do this via the Communications Hub. You click on distribution list, you can make a new distribution list, you can call it your New Year's admissions for 2022, add the names that you want to do so that when you come in to use your username and password letters, instead of picking your year group, because you might have existing students in those year groups, click on the distribution list of whichever year that you've set it. So if you would have one in here, admissions 2022, you can click on that, click on next, and it's exactly the same system as doing that. So you can just send everything out to your parents and then they can log in and make whatever payments they need to do. If a parent logs into a system and makes a payment on the top-up, a top-up payment for food and drink, while they're still pre-admissions, the payment will sit within food and drink area here. It's not on this system, but there'll be another tab here that says pre-admission payments. And what you can do is you can have a look at that. What happens is, the payments will get put into this area. And then what happens here is that it will show you these people have made top-ups, and they'll show you what date they've done. This is the payment reference number. This is the student's unique ID. So this is the ID here that the tills will be polling. And this will be their names, this will be that show that they are a pre-ad student and they've paid for school meals, and this is the amount. The payments sit in this area on the food and drink module because we need to make sure that this number here is correct. So whatever the tills are polling, whether it be a UPN or whether it be an MIS ID number, most of the time it is either one or the other. you need to make sure that this number is correct, and this is the actual MIS ID number, and providing that number is correct, you just put 2 ticks into these and send the tills money down to the tills so the tills can pick it up. If this isn't done, these payments will just sit there until the school have a look at it and they can then check which these IDs are correct. But as soon as you click that onto the tills, then the tills will be able to pick it up. If you click this and this number's wrong, the tills won't be able to collect it. So that will cause some issues because parents will call and say they've topped up their food and drink, but there's nothing showing. So you do need to make sure that those numbers are correct before sending them down to the tills. If these IDs don't match what the tills should be polling, then you should be raising a case with support, WisePay support, so that we can have a look at it and make sure that things are going the right way. And if this should be the UPN, we can make sure that the UPN is actually quoted on this payment before going down to the tills. So there's no difference for people who are using either a pre-admission template or an import template. The system is exactly the same. The students will come across the same. But as I say, the most information you can give us on the templates would be the best way. Otherwise, you do end up having to do email sweeps, and then it's very hard if you wanted to do a mail merge to your parents for the usernames and passwords. You won't be able to do it because the email addresses won't show until we've done a sweep. The sweeps will only bring across email addresses where the existing field on this child's profile is blank or states not given. If there's any amendments to any email addresses, even throughout the year for your existing students, they would have to be done manually via manage account profiles and save the changes. So that's all there is for the pre-admissions and the new students coming across for September. One thing I would suggest is that if you do use the group call exporter tool and your school normally turns the server off during the summer holidays, it's always best to turn the server back on the middle of August if you're back in the school for exam results, so that the system can work its way through, and then when the children get marked as active and on roll, the exporter tool is up and running and will bring across the information and put children in their right classes and year groups, and it will increment them to their year groups if they're going up a year. The last thing I need to show you today is the leavers process. This is the process that is a 2-step process. So if you're using the group call exporter tool and you have children that leave the school during the year or at the end of the school year, so year 11s, year 13s, year 6s, when you mark them as leavers in your MIS database, with Group Call Exporter, it will disable the account in WisePay. So that's the step 1, that's just the automated step. The second step is that you would then need to go in and mark them as leavers in WisePay. So with Group Call Exporter, it will take them into the disabled status. So you can go into your Manage Account Profiles, find the disabled children from this status box here, the drop-down box, click on that, click on Search, and you'll see that I have 3 children here that are marked as disabled. Because when the system marks them as disabled, it keeps them in their year group and their classes. If you didn't do the second step, every time you do a report or every time you set up an audience group for, say, year 3 or year 1, it will reclude these people because the system doesn't know that they're archiving. So what you need to do is you come into here, and if you're happy that all of these children have now definitely left, you can mark them as leavers. Now you can either click on this top green box here, and that will put a tick in every box, or you can do them separately. So you can just do those. And then you have to click on this box here to save all ticked accounts as leavers. Once you click on that box there, what it will do is it will archive the account and it will put them into a year group 50, as you can see here, and it will put them into an off-roll class of 2022. That's for this year. So because it's now put them into a year group 50 in a class of RO 2022, if you're setting up an audience group for your year 1s, your year 3s, it won't pick these children up, as it shouldn't, because they're now left the school. If your school is using WAND, unfortunately, at the moment, if by marking them as leavers in your MIS system, WAND doesn't disable the accounts. So what you would need to do then is you'd need to come into your Manage Account Profiles from the dashboard, click on that, and you would need to find your children from an active status. Now, you might be looking for I don't know, year group 7, for example. So you could click on year group 7, click on search, and that would be your active children. And again, it's the same process. You just tick on the leavers box there, and you'll be able to archive them from an active status. Obviously, if you have no synchronization, you would need to do that as well from the active status. Thank you for joining us today. That's the end of the webinar. If you have any questions, I'll leave the line open for a couple of minutes if you want to type your questions into the box, and we will come back to you later on today. Thank you for listening. Thank you very much. I can see there are a number of questions that have come in. I will be giving an answer to that and we'll send them out for you today. Also, if you've missed the recording today, we will send that out as well. So if you've missed the beginning, you'll be able to catch up with me. And if there's any questions that arise over the next couple of days from the recordings that you listen to, just drop us an email into support@wisepay.co.uk and we'll come back to you as soon as we can. Thank you very much.